Hello, my name is Angelica Corral with What in the World Events, and today we have a special guest. Her name is Raven Blair Glover. She is Raven, the talk show Maven. Let me share a little bit. She's an honoree of President Obama's Lifetime Achievement Award. She's a recognized authority in media, eight-time award-winning talk show host. This is exciting. How did all this get started, Raven?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you. I feel so blessed and so honored. I see you all the time on LinkedIn and you'll be rocking these interviews. So thank you for having me here. And thanks everyone for who's tuning in. You know what? My dream for radio started at the age of 13, believe it or
Mm,
not. At the age of 13, I was in Cleveland, Ohio. There used to be a radio
nice.
station called WJMO.
Uh-huh.
And my parents had a chain of restaurants. And what I would do, I would sneak to from school to WJMO as a kid between the ages of 13 and 16. Eventually became like a little pesty kid that would hang out there, bringing
Uh-huh.
water and stuff like that. And what fascinated me was from all over, I thought all over the world, but it was just really all over Cleveland and
Uh-huh.
suburbs that would call in. And that's when I knew I wanted to be on radio. And it meant a lot to me because as a kid, I always felt dismissed, overlooked, felt like I could never get in the in crowd, wasn't cute enough, wasn't sporty enough, to be in the in crowd. And I was the baby out
Hmm.
of four children. So, and because my parents had restaurants, they were always busy and just didn't have time for me the way
Yes.
I wanted them to.
Uh-huh.
So that made me more of an introvert, that made me feel lesser than. And
Hmm.
so the radio station, every time I went down there, it got me excited. I always wanted to go down there. And my mom then would say, stop going to that restaurant. I mean, to the radio station, and I would still go. But
Uh-huh.
fast forward at the age of 55, my mother went into the hospital
Oh.
and she was in ICU unit for 3 weeks. And I lived there at the hospital. My
Hmm.
sister and my son and we lived there in the ICU ward.
Hmm.
And I happened to get on a call one day.
Hmm.
It was Teleseminar Secrets, Alex Mendozian. And he said there's this real cool thing called podcasting. You didn't need an FCC license. All you had to do was get on a free conference call. And
Hmm.
here's the thing that stuck with me. He said the quickest way to become an expert is to interview experts. And if you
Mm.
did that, you didn't necessarily have to have much going on yourself,
Hmm.
except for use the power of your voice and your heartfelt message and find people to interview like authors, speakers, and coaches. And right then from the hospital, I start drafting out my first show, Women Power, which has gone on and won multiple awards. And it turned from Women Power to Raven International Broadcast Media Empire now, where we have TV channels, we have our own radio station, and I help people all over the world that
Hmm.
felt like Casper, like me, or felt dismissed or overlooked. I help them to broadcast their passion to profit, make some money, honey, along the way.
That's it. That's
Yeah.
what I'm loving it. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, so that's it. I mean, it's the dream, like most of us, started when I was a kid,
Uh-huh.
13 years old. It took me to 55 for it to make it happen. I'm a proud 72-year-old. I'll be 73 in April. And I am living my childhood dream right now.
Awesome. Congratulations. I'm so happy
Thank
for
you.
you, my friend. Yay.
Yay!
Awesome. So how do you come up with your ideas for podcasting? I love what you said about interviewing the experts. That's
Mhm.
definitely what to do, right? So how do
Yeah.
you come up with some creative ideas?
You know what? I am very, I guess you could say, innovative. So it's easy for me to come up with ideas as far as what I want to create,
Hmm.
But as far as when it comes to interviews, I stick with my heart, my gut, and soul.
Okay.
And of myself and of my audience. So I
Hmm.
survey my audience a lot of times and find out, what's your challenge? What's your
Hmm.
biggest challenge?
Hmm.
What's got you stuck? What
Hmm.
type of topics would you like to hear on Amazing Women of Power or Careers from Home TV or whatever show that I'm doing?
Mm-hmm.
But when I first got started, I was a very inquisitive person as a child, and I still am. So
Mm-hmm.
I would really think about who do I want to talk to? And I would look around and see what books I had,
Mm-hmm.
and I would see Think and Grow Rich. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, I wonder if anybody in his family, because obviously he had passed, is still alive. And
Mm-hmm.
so I would Google and I would find someone and I would reach out and ask for an interview. So I look
Awesome.
for things that inspired and empowered me
Mm-hmm.
along my journey. And I look for things to where I had a pain and I would reach out there to my audience and see, does this trouble you too? Is this one of your pains? Is this one of your challenges? And
Mm-hmm.
that's how I come up with what topics I want to interview.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah,
Can
because
you?
it actually was therapy for me, a little bit because of how I told you I felt dismissed, overlooked,
Mm-hmm.
just totally had very low self-esteem. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was trying to heal the little raven inside that became the big raven with the same problems. They just got bigger, right? And I went through abuse, not physical, but emotional abuse. And I went through a
Mm-hmm.
lot of things as a young adult.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I interview Montel Williams or Sherry Shepard or, the Lou Gossett Jr., Oscar winner, Lindsay Wagner, I don't know if you remember the Bionic Woman.
Yes,
And,
I do.
yeah, I started reaching out to
I'm a
celebrities.
70s girl.
Oh, okay. Then I
Yeah.
started reaching out to the celebrities that I grew up with and
Mhm.
that I admired, Tippi
Yes.
Hedren from the Birds and stuff like that.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then the mentors that I grew up with, like Les Brown,
Yeah.
Jack Canfield, and then of course The Secret was real big when I got started in 2006. So I reached out to almost everybody that was in The Secret. And
Wow.
so, those are the things that got me going. And if I can get Raven going, if Raven can get happy and excited, I know that's huge for me because I thrive on energy. I thrive on
Yes.
excitement. I was sad long enough as a child, so now it's like what brings my happy, and then
Yeah.
that makes for a great interview when I'm interviewing them too.
I love it. And I'm glad that I got a chance that I'm getting a chance to interview you too, because I felt a really great vibe from you. I felt this,
Oh, thank
this,
you. Back at you. We connected right away.
I said, I
we
want, yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say because I reached out to you. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be doing these LinkedIn audios, and I
Mhm.
think it went the first time you weren't available, and
Mhm.
so I'm just following you guys. I'm watching you because I didn't really pay too much attention to LinkedIn audio.
Mhm. Mhm.
I guess LinkedIn audio is pretty new, is it?
I started using it last year, but I don't know how long it's been around, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
I used to be in Clubhouse before.
Yeah, I was in Clubhouse. I still got my room. I went in there about a month ago, and I'm like, boy, it's changed. I don't even know what to do there.
I it seems it kind of slowed down, right? Do you see that too?
Yeah, well, I did see some of the same people there, but most of the people that I was used to are gone.
Mm-hmm.
They moved on. They're
Mm-hmm.
on TikTok or Instagram and here,
Hmm.
so you have to, you have to find the best fit for you.
Yes.
I'm in my 70s, so I'm not going to be on TikTok dropping it like it's hot or anything like that. So I might not be able to get back
I
up.
love it.
I'm sticking to the safe zone.
Uh-huh. Hmm.
you know but yeah, so this is comfortable. I love LinkedIn audio. I think it's fabulous.
Me too. I feel like this is where the tribe is at. This is where I feel this is where I belong. Um,
Yeah.
so you got honorary of President Obama. You got to tell me how you do it,
Yeah.
girl. How did this happen? I'm excited about
Oh
this
my
story.
goodness. You know what? This was such a surprise,
Hmm.
especially coming from someone that always felt dismissed, right? Didn't
Mm.
think anybody paid attention to her. So I happened to get an email when I was in Hawaii back
Mhm.
in 2016.
Yes.
Um, it was December. I think Obama was going to be leaving office the
Mhm.
beginning of 2017 in January, I believe, something like that. And I was at my son's in Hawaii, and I kept getting this email saying you were nominated for the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. And I said, yeah, I wish these people would stop joking with me. I was
You said
excited, but I was
scammer?
like, yeah, I was like, yeah, right, yeah, right, And the email came again. I was at my son's for about almost a month, my
Uh-huh.
husband and I, and it kept coming. And
Uh,
so the night before, um, we were getting ready to leave the next day. So I was downloading some stuff to watch on the plane. And I said, let me check my email one more time because we're going to be leaving like at 5 in the morning. And there it was again saying that the president would be leaving office in a few
uh,
weeks. And they needed to know, was I going to accept this nomination? And then they needed some information on me.
right.
And so finally, my son said, look, there's a phone number at the bottom. Give
Mm.
them a call.
Mhm.
And so it was to one of the ambassadors because the presidents, they have business ambassadors, okay,
Mhm.
that where these come from with their. I've got my award and the president's signature, and I got another certificate. I got my presidential pin over there and all that stuff. But you had to send
Nice.
them information. Girl, you don't laugh. I sent them a one sheet. They sent it back and they're like, no, ma'am, we need no more than that. I sent them a one sheet, the speaker one sheet.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh.
Yes, I had to send them more information, whatever they asked for. And I was rushed for time because remember, I was
Mhm,
getting ready to get on the plane. And so
mhm,
I told them, I said, look, I'll be back tomorrow. Give me at
mhm,
least a weekend to get it for you and stuff. So that's how
mhm,
it happened.
mhm.
I feel that, I mean, that's the people ask me all the time, what's been the best thing? And because, this year will make 18 years that I've been podcasting and broadcasting. And I think by
Congratulations.
far, thank you. That
Mhm,
is it, getting the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. But the
mhm,
second thing, and I've got many other awards. The second thing is the people I've had conversations with. Like I'm sure you look at that sometime, like I can't believe I'm having a conversation with this person.
mhm,
Everyday
mhm,
people with
mhm.
extraordinary stories like ours,
Exactly. That's
and
wonderful.
the celebrities and the thought leaders, all of it. It's been
Mhm.
amazing. It's
Yes.
just been an amazing journey. I think when I first interviewed Dr. J.B. Hill, Napoleon Hill's grandson,
Nice.
because I've read Think and Grow Rich. I'm like, I can't believe I am sitting here talking to somebody that's related to Napoleon Hill. And then Earl Nightingale,
Mhm.
his wife, his
Mhm.
widow, Diana
Uh-huh.
Nightingale, we've become very dear friends, and it all started with her being on my Amazing Women and Men of Power show. So it's just been an amazing journey. I just get mad that it took me till 55 to have done it.
But you know what? You did it. That's what
Yeah,
counts. You did it and you're doing it, and we're still doing it, girl. So
yeah,
so
still doing it, and I'm praying to be here till 104. So as long as I stay in good health and God gives me the chops to talk it up, I'm going to be doing it.
that is awesome. So I noticed that you shared some vulnerabilities, and I think when you have vulnerabilities, people can relate to that, right? So I
Yeah.
appreciate you sharing because our lives aren't always rosy, right?
Mm-mm. Well, I don't know if you've ever heard this, but I've often, because I invest a lot in mentors and stuff, and
Mhm,
didn't always, but I do. Been doing that probably for the past decade or so.
mhm,
Um, and one of the biggest things I heard is that some of the best businesses come from our pain,
mm,
from the
mhm,
challenges that we've had, from the things that
mhm,
we pushed through, the
mhm,
breakthroughs that we've had. And then that's how we become the mentors, the coaches, the masters of what we do and pass it on to other because we've been there, done that, wore the t-shirt, drank out the coffee cup, and we know
mhm,
we can resonate with their pain. And it doesn't always have to be a stayed in the car type of story or, some horrible, horrific story. And
mhm,
I don't know about you, I get a lot of people that tell me, but I don't have a real bad story. I don't have a story. Your story is your story. It doesn't,
Yes.
we're not trying to measure up whose
Mhm,
story is worse or who's got
mhm,
the most junk in their story, because there's a message for everybody and we attract the right people. Like I was attracted to you, and I'm attracted to a lot of the people that I reach out to for LinkedIn,
mhm,
especially the ones that interview, because that's what I do. I love
mhm,
interviewing.
mhm,
I love talking with people and watching those that interview too. And I want to support them because I know the joy that you're having, but I also know, like I spoke to you earlier, about the tech issues we have, you know, like just coming here, I had to reboot my computer and shut down and stuff. So a lot of people, they miss what's behind the scenes of podcasters and broadcasters, whether it YouTube, live stream, social audio. We put a
mhm.
lot into what we do, don't we?
Yes, we have a lot in common, and I love it because it just shows that we love people, right? And we like learning about people, and it
We're
excites us, right?
inquisitive. Yeah. Yeah. And
Yeah.
we get to ask questions, and we get to ask the questions we want,
Yes.
and our audience. We definitely going to make sure we get the questions we want into.
Yes, definitely. Well, I know you have so many great interviews and so many great stories, but I wanted to ask you, what is the most memorable one that you had where it just stays in your mind and it's touching and
Yeah.
something that you want to share?
Yeah, I will say by far Montel Williams, because when I interviewed Montel Williams, he was just a few years coming off of his long time talk show, which I believe he won an Emmy or some awards back then for that too.
Mhm,
And so I think that was 2000. I want to say maybe 2009, somewhere in
mhm,
that area. And I remember speaking with him. First of
mhm,
all, it
mhm,
was such an amazing interview because he was so real, so
mhm.
authentic.
I love
And,
it.
I didn't know what to expect,
Mhm,
and and then the other thing was he was very vulnerable. He really was. I
mm,
remember he was sharing a story about when he was laying on a girder, and the ambulance came to pick him up, and how
mhm,
he, didn't think he was going to make it. And I heard his voice crack. I could tell
mhm,
he was sharing a part of his story. And I remember him saying in the interview, I've never shared this with anyone first. And that was the first time I had had someone say that. But I've
wow.
heard and I've watched Oprah and other talk shows where the guests let them know you were one of the first. This is the
Mhm,
first time I said that. And that
mhm,
was a big deal to me. I remember saying, you know so that was extremely, extremely memorable. um and it taught me something that I teach my clients: how
mhm,
important it is to be a really good listener when you're interviewing. More of a listener than a talker. When you're talking the guest, you want to listen for every little thing that you can say, that you can hear, because
mhm,
that's your door into transitioning over to a follow-up question or something interesting, to really bring in the conversation, to really bring in that connection.
mhm,
And it let me know that when his voice cracked like that, that I want to listen for my other interviews to really get beyond the words, if you know what I mean,
yeah,
beyond the words, and hear their emotion, not just hear their emotion, but feel the emotion, because that would make me a better interviewer. And I believe that has made me a better interviewer, because I go way beyond just the words. I want to
mhm,
tap into their emotions. When I reach out to them, and I teach this to my clients,
mhm,
I really study them as far as their environment, what they like, what they don't like, what excites them, what they stand for. Oh my God, what they stand for is so important. I get a lot of people to say yes, because I take the time to really look beyond them and say, okay, is there anybody in their family going through something that they're speaking out about?
mhm,
What touches their heart? You
mhm,
know, what
mhm,
touches their heart, their soul. because, especially the celebrities, they really want you to look at them as a real person, and then
Mhm.
you might see that, oh my God, they got this person in their family that just, had an operation and they're really talking about it, and then you find a way to bring that up delicately and,
Mhm.
but bring up something to draw them in, like many times it's just as simple, I've been following you for years, so and so, and, I ran across an article or ran across your blog or your social media post where you talked about your nephew and how is Lewis doing? You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
now I'm connecting with them warmly. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've taught me a few things already. You talked about your mom earlier and her being in the hospital, and I didn't even ask how's she doing, and I'm sorry about that. It was in the back of my mind, and I got the
Yeah, that's
ADHD.
okay. That's okay.
So I want to
No
know, well,
problem.
how is she now? And
Well, my mom, she's passed. Her and my dad are gone, unfortunately. Um, my dad actually passed before I got into radio, but my mother, she stayed alive for 6 years. So she got a chance to see her daughter that
mm-hmm,
felt, dismissed, overlooked, and was dealing with self-esteem. She got a chance to see me grow through just and my life completely changed just from what she went through. So
mm-hmm.
she became a huge part of my story. My first book,
Wow.
I put one of my mother's poems in my first book, which was Broadcast Your Passion to Profit. And so I remember taking the book to the hospital and
Mm-hmm,
saying, Mom, look, remember that poem you wrote? Well, now you're a published poet because it's in my book. And I remember seeing how excited she was. And my mother always loved Les Brown, always was a big Les Brown fan. So I remember one day she was in the hospital. She was starting to
mm-hmm.
feel a little bit better.
Uh-huh.
And I took up my boom box. That's what we had back then, okay, to the
I
hospital.
remember that.
Yeah, and I said, Mom, I want you to hear something. I want you to hear something. And so
Mm-hmm,
the interview I did of Les Brown, I burned it to a CD and I played it.
mm-hmm.
And she said, didn't I
What?
whip your butt about going down to the radio station? You still sneaking down to the radio station. So the only thing that related to her was when I was a kid, how I used to sneak to the radio station. And that's
Mm-hmm,
when
mm-hmm.
Mom's feeling better because she did whip me one time. Because back then, whippings was okay. Okay,
Uh-huh.
they were okay. My mom would get that belt out in a minute, and
Yes.
because the radio station was just like 2 blocks from her. One time we were at the restaurant. I was at the station, and one of the her customers said, "I think that's your daughter on the radio." My mother cut the radio on, and I was like, "Hey, I'm Raven Blair, and I'm on the air, WJMO."
I love it.
Then she came down to the radio station. So when she got better and
Mm-hmm.
she brought up that moment, I was like, oh, good. Thank God. Mom's going to be well. But she lived for 6 years. She got a chance to see me grow a lot.
Mm,
And she got a chance to see my very first award. And I know she was very proud of me. So,
mm.
I would love for her and my dad to have been here when I received, the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. Even though I didn't see Barack Obama, it was given by the business ambassador. But I took their picture. In fact, I have it on my desk now. I'm such a mom
That's
and
an
dad.
honor.
Yeah, I
Show
took
that, my
their
friend.
picture. I
Bring
had
it
it
to
in
the
my
front.
pocket. Yeah, that's my mom and dad when they were younger. So I took it. I had it in my pocket
Uh-huh.
and in my jacket, and so I felt like they were close to me when I got that award, and it was very, very exciting. I know they would be proud of me.
I'm sure. I'm sure they would.
Yeah.
We're proud of you.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. I love to see my sisters winning. Okay.
Well, I can't wait to interview you on my show and for
Oh,
one
I
of
can't
the
wait to.
original audio series. It's going to be exciting. Can't wait, can't wait, can't
We're
wait.
gonna have fun. I'm having fun with learning about you right now. Have you ever had a guest that did something that was just out of the ordinary, unexpected? that
Yes.
tell me about
Yes, of
this.
course, of
I want to get ready for this one.
well, you know what? I did interview. I've never told anybody her name because she was a celebrity,
Hmm.
and she was. What was a couple of them?
Hmm.
First one was with. I will say this one, Fran Drescher, because it ended up being okay.
Uh-huh.
Remember Nanny?
Yes, I remember who she is
Yeah, and
with the
so
New York accent or the Boston
yeah,
accent.
she had that funny laugh and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Her Fran Drescher, and when she came to the when she came called me for the interview, um, I could tell she had no interest in it. She was strictly just doing the interview just because I was next on the list. Okay, there was no enthusiasm, and I always liked her because of the laugh. She had this
Yeah.
notorious laugh.
Uh-huh.
And I remember saying in the interview, I said, "Well, we'll be back with more for Fran Drescher right after this. Maybe when Fran comes back, she'll do her famous laugh and say ha 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 ha." And it was like, okay. And so I almost lost interest in the middle of the interview of doing the interview. But
Mm-hmm.
then I started thinking, okay, Raven, remember, you need to really connect with her and draw her in. She's
Mm-hmm.
just doing a regular interview. She can't wait to get it over.
Mm-hmm.
And I was able to turn that interview around about halfway. And if anybody wants to hear that, you can go to womenpower-radio.com. You'll see her on the side, a Fran Drescher interview. And then, and this was a lesson that I learned, when we came back, I went in a whole different direction in the interview. I can't remember, that was so many years ago. But
Uh-huh.
what stood out was she started saying my name.
Mm.
I connected with her. And that's part of what I teach my host
Mm-hmm.
when we talk about connecting with them.
Mm-hmm.
So when you can get, especially someone that's really up there, whether it's a business celebrity or a celebrity, to say your name, especially the more they say it, the closer you're connected with them. But if I learned this, if they don't say your name nowhere in the interview, it probably wasn't a really good connection. That's what I
Yeah.
learned. Yeah.
Say
And
my
so then
name, say my
yeah,
name.
yeah, say my name, say my name. Yeah. Then it started to be something that I would really focus on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get this person to say my name. And that would just stick in my head. Yeah.
That is awesome because I know you felt special that they said your name, right?
Well, I felt really good that I turned it around and we were able to laugh. And then she started really, saying some, personal things. And this is
Mm-hmm.
before she had gotten married. I don't think she's married now, but she was getting ready to get married. She started talking about her man. And the whole interview just changed. Another one, I've never ever aired the interview. In fact, I was going through some interviews that I did during the holiday. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
during the
Mm-hmm.
holiday, I was going over some interviews that I have done because I was going to have my daughter and grandson, who are part of my team, to
Yes.
go ahead and start editing those so that they can be more evergreen. Give them more of a upbeat music intro, and take out the old whatever show I was doing, because I'm going to package them up and
Mm-hmm.
have some of Raven's VIP interviews or top 10 celebrities. And I looked at there and I think we had like about 70 something interviews of
Mm-hmm.
famous people, whether they be celebrity or business people. So I want to
Uh-huh.
make a big collection, and, put it out there. And so I ran across her interview and I was like, oh, I've never used this. Maybe I should use it because it's a decent name.
Uh-huh.
And I played it. I'm like, no, I can't use this. There was no connection. She
Yeah.
had no energy. She got tired halfway in the interview. I think her and I went at it a little bit. I was like,
She
well,
needs some
you can
coffee. She needed some she probably had something in the back of her mind that was going on, right? You never know
yeah,
what's going on
yeah,
with people or
yeah.
something happened to them, right?
I did, that's exactly what I said to her, because I stopped the interview. I only got like a little bit of it. So I said, you know what? I
Uh-huh.
can tell this is not a great day with you, and I'm okay with that,
Uh-huh.
because I value your time and my time, and I don't want you to do an interview if this is not the day. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
we'll connect another year, and I just left it out there. We ended it really nice,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I just let it go because it was like there was nothing there for me, and I thrive, like I said, on energy. So
Mm-hmm.
if the energy is not there, I can't do it. I just can't. I
You
can't
can't
fake it.
fake you
Can't
can't
fake.
fake the fun.
I wish my husband was down here because he's in music. He would love you.
That's
You
Parliament.
want to get a good
Make
interview. I
my
have to
funk the
connect you
P funk.
guys. Yeah.
So that's another thing I wanted to ask you too. I know that it's not about a podcast, but it's part of you. It's your family is in music.
My
Girl, you
husband
got
is.
you
He's a
got a whole
Grammy Award-winning mixing engineer. His name is Khalid
wow.
Glover. He's worked for Michael Jackson, Prince, Christina Aguilar, Jamie Foxx, several different people, and he
Nice.
was one of the engineers for the famous We Are the World project. Kenny Rogers was his first boss,
Uh-huh.
and he wasn't in. He was used to be in, I think, a band playing the guitar, and he lucked up and got a job with Kenny Rogers, and then
Hmm.
from there, worked, at Paisley Park with Prince. It had something to do with engineering and all that with that. So yeah, yes, I was lucky. I married into him. I didn't know him back when he was working with all those people.
Wow. But that's
Yeah.
pretty interesting, and I bet
Yeah.
he has some. You should have you interviewed him yet? Because it
Oh
sounds like he
yeah.
would.
When I was at CNN and CBS radio, I interviewed him. And this was before we dated or anything. So
Oh,
yeah, yeah. I'll have to. I got to hook up. That'd be somebody nice for you to interview because I'm listening to all the different times you've been singing and stuff. He would get a kick out of you. I'll definitely have to share
right.
your information with him and yours. Yeah, you'll like him. You'll get along. He's funny
I
too. He's
love you,
got
girl. We're gonna connect each other with all kinds of people. That's what we're gonna do. Because that's how we roll. I
that's how
love
we
it.
roll.
I love it. And I was gonna ask you, how do you connect with people? But you already started saying how you connect, but I'm sure you have some other ways that you connect with people.
Well,
And that,
I have not done it in so long. I was thinking about this the other day because I want to get back into interviewing some celebrities. My husband has only connected me with one celebrity, and that's Sinbad.
mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, Sinbad has had a stroke. Um,
Mm,
yeah, I think this is like his third year or something dealing with that. But I was blessed to interview him a couple of times before that. But everybody else, all the other celebrities I got, Chili from TLC and different people, Russell Simmons and stuff, I got on my own. And
mm-hmm.
most of it before Khalik and I married. So I was putting together a training. I call it Interview Up because that's something I've been kind of very famous for teaching people how to interview up and
Mm-hmm.
to get your credibility and visibility and how to reach out to these people. So I was kind of going over some of my old training saying, boy, I got to get back to it because I haven't done it in so long. And I would love to interview Brian Tracy again. And see,
Mm-hmm.
I like the older people that I grew up with. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? A lot of the new people that I still listen to them, and some of them I invested in. Like I love Lisa Sasevich and Lisa Nichols. I've had a chance to interview both of them. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
Alex Ocean, Jack Canfield,
Mm-hmm.
Brendan Burchard, people like that. But some of the new ones, I'm saying within the last 5 years, I've never reached out to. And I was
Mm-hmm.
thinking, hey, who do I want to interview? Make your interview list, your dream list. And it
Uh-huh.
still goes back to the older people, you
Mm-hmm.
know, um, in
There's
my
something. Mm-hmm. Go
yeah,
ahead.
because a lot of them unfortunately are passing away. And I want to have that
Mm,
conversation
mhm,
with them. I love the new people too, but I can resonate with. These are people that I grew up like, oh, if I could only have an interview with them. And some
mhm,
of them, believe it or not, are younger than me. I thought they were older than me, but they're actually in their 50s and 60s. But then there's some that are
mhm,
in their 80s, you know, Like Bob Proctor, I would have loved to interview him. I had met him and we talked about it at an event, but it never happened.
Mm,
I would love to have had interviewed him before he passed. Jim Rome, I met him. We talked about having an interview. We had a great connection. I have a picture on my wall with me and a great Jim Rome. And
mhm.
like within a few months later, he had passed away. So, you know,
Wow. So
so
now
I
I
always
see.
tell people
Mhm,
go get that interview. If it's on
mhm.
your mind, that person's on your mind, don't hesitate. Reach out for that interview because we're only promised the moments we're in. And that's one thing I learned because the interview that I never got was the one with my mom. And my
Oh.
whole story is built around my mom. This show was created in an ICU unit of a hospital. That's where it was created at, you know. It was because of her being in the hospital. And people ask me all the time, who did you interview? What's your favorite interview? But they never ask me, what interview did you not get? And that's
Mm,
the most meaningful interview. So we started something a few years called
mhm,
Amazing Moms Past and Present. And we go
mhm.
out there and we have people all over the world send us interviews of their mom, and we shut our radio station down, the regular programming, and all day long we air one interview after another of people interviewing their moms. And if their moms pass, I interview them about their moms. So we'll be doing it again this year too. So look out for it.
I love that idea because I think so many people don't do that, and I
Mhm.
we didn't do it either. I think we just have clips of stuff that we did, but we didn't sit down and ask questions and really get down to the gritty and keep a record of it. We just have like memories of the things, so it's so important because after they're gone, you know, w- that's a library of information that closed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the saddest thing. My husband actually has an interview that he did before I met him
Mhm.
of his mother that's like 2 hours long. And
Wow.
she had been going through cancer and stuff.
Mhm.
And so he was able to interview her, um, yeah, two separate times, and each interview was an hour.
Wow.
And that's just amazing for anybody that has that. Whenever we do the interview your mom thing close to Mother's Day, we've had little kids interview their moms, and
Oh.
we've had older kids interview their moms, and some people that have interviewed their moms for our special edition, they passed before their moms, and their
Mhm.
moms contacted me and said they were so glad that they had that interview, that their son
Mhm.
did it, and they were able to interview, because then we started interview your children. And so I'm just telling everybody, interview the people in your family. You have ancestors and you have all these different programs that will connect family. But what
Mhm.
if you had a series of interviews of your family, and
Mhm.
not nothing that's gonna upset them? You just want to hear their story. How many times have our parents and our aunts and told us their story over and over again? I remember when I was like, yeah, mom, I know, yeah, mom. I wish I had those stories now,
Yes.
gone, because you can't bring them back,
Mhm.
so.
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. What if you know about a celebrity that's coming into town and you're going to be in close proximity with them, but they seem like they're just too high for you to ask them, "Can you do a podcast with me?" Has that ever happened to you where somebody just seemed like they were I don't probably not because you're getting these awards from Obama and stuff, so
Well, but most of the interviews I did with celebrities was when I was first going. See, the
Uh,
past since 2011 is when I launched my first radio station. I'm
mhm,
always mentoring now. I hardly
mhm,
ever get a chance to do an interview
mhm,
because
mhm,
it went from me. I mean, after I got all my awards and stuff, the next thing was I want to help as many people, you know, tap into what's their heartfelt message, so
mhm,
that, whenever that time comes and that all they can do is sit back and look at their life, they can
Mhm.
know that their message got out there. I heard Les Brown say once that the richest place on earth is the graveyard. So many people take their dreams and their messages and things that mean to them to the graveyard, right? So I'm always telling my clients and my hosts, what's your heartfelt message? What's
Mhm.
that message inside of you that if you knew you only had a couple weeks to live, you would want to go shout it out to the world? That's
Mhm.
what we want to build the show around, either your business and your brand or your passion. And
Mhm.
then now let's talk about what type of topics do you want to talk about? What's on your heart? Who do
Mhm.
you want to interview? We always start off making a dream list of their interviews.
Mhm.
And then, we practice asking for the interview.
Mhm.
I teach something that's called, you know, the ask in the interview. It's
Mhm.
about the ask. And you
Mhm.
have to ask them in a way that you're more likely to get a yes than a no. And
Mhm.
most of the time, you get a no because you talk too much. People
Mhm.
start telling them about, oh, they just start putting their foot in their mouth, saying
Yeah.
the wrong things, giving
Mhm.
them a long story, bringing up things that's going to bring up more questions,
Mhm.
meaning the person that you're asking is going to start asking you questions and stuff.
Mhm. Mhm.
Nobody, not one celebrity ever asked me how many listeners did I have. Not a one. I cannot think of a one. And
Mm.
I'm talking about business celebrities
Well,
or
then I'm going to ask you that. That's my
fine, go
question.
ahead. I have no
That's
problem with
my
the answer.
question to you, my sister.
Well, you got to remember, I have radio, TV, and all of it, and I have my host. So the way we have our thing is organization is people don't have to worry about being on an island alone. So we have
Uh-huh.
millions of listeners, but
Uh-huh.
they're coming from my people, my hosts, because I have like
Mhm.
39 hosts. Okay, so
Mm.
we're all leveraging on each other, and
Mhm.
that's how we built this thing. I
Mhm.
learned that from being on CNN and CBS. We
Nice.
were all under one umbrella. So when I left CNN and CBS, I really created it from what I knew, because that was the
Mhm.
first actual radio station that I wasn't doing anything from home. I was going in. So I learned a lot from them, and I put mines together.
Mhm.
But my
Mhm.
point of bringing that up was to let people know that listening is not even about that. It's not
Mhm.
even about that. Nobody ever asked me that. I'm talking about celebrities. Never. Brian
Mhm.
Tracy, never. Les Brown, I've interviewed him 4 times. Never. Lisa Nichols, never.
Mhm.
Okay. Lou Gossett Jr., Montel, they never asked that.
That's a great
Now,
question.
what's a great question?
The question of how many listeners do you have?
It is a great
Yeah.
question,
Mhm.
but it's not the question that's going to get them to be on your show.
Yeah.
That's the point. So you're missing the
Mhm.
point. What I'm
Mhm.
trying to tell and inspire other people is ask
Okay.
for the interview. It has nothing to do with it. See,
I see.
Angelica, people aren't asking because they're stuck in
Uh-huh.
what they have. You see what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying?
Yeah.
What you should be sharing with them is, why should they be on your show?
Yes.
What's in it for them? What's the message? Is this your right audience? Because you can have millions of listeners and nobody buy
Mhm.
anything.
Mhm. Mhm.
Most hosts are not making any money.
Mhm. Mhm.
They're putting a lot of money into equipment, roadcaster pros and stuff, but they're not making money. So it's not about the listeners as much as it is about your content, your
Mhm.
message. What are you bringing to them? What's going to
Yeah.
make the difference? And that's why earlier when I said I learned to tap into what means a lot to these thought leaders and celebrities, that's
Mhm.
beyond the norm of what people look into. What do
Mhm.
they really stand for? What's the cause? Like one time, I remember Jack Canfield office contacted me about doing an interview that was around I think it was around alcoholism,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know who in his family, whatever. And I remember thinking, well, I don't really have anything about that. This is years ago, but I
Mm-hmm.
created something about because he at that time had a message that he wanted to pass on to other people that was suffering from maybe not just alcoholism, drugs, just the whole thing, and I had never really done a show on that, so that, but it was what he was tuned into. Maybe it was someone in his family, maybe it was a friend, or maybe it was just he was just getting the feeling that people needed to hear about that. Les Brown, um, I think it was a year ago, we did the Profitable Podcaster Summit.
Mm-hmm.
I did a wonderful interview with him, but then he sent me an additional video to share that was not even an interview. It was a special message that he wanted to get out to the public. You see what I'm saying?
Nice.
So it's a lot of things. The whole point of what I'm trying to say is a lot of times we're just missing what really, really, really means a lot to them. And
Mm-hmm.
that, as a host, you got to tap into that. You got to go beyond the norm, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Yeah.
So you were talking about a few things that mean a lot to you because you mentioned your mom and you mentioned your book, and I want you to put in the comments the name of your book because other people need to know so they could
I
do the
sure
same
will.
thing.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so I have
Uh-huh.
Talk to Magic, and that's basically. I'm sorry, not Talk to Magic, Talk Show Magic, and a
Mhm.
lot of the stuff that I went over today is in there.
Okay.
And that's one I did. I guess you could say almost probably 8 or 9 years ago. Another one that I just did. If anybody wants this, just hit me up on private message or put me
Mhm.
me if you
Mhm.
would like to have my new book. It's called Ask AI and Chat GPT: How You Can Turn Your Podcast into a Cash Machine.
Wow.
And we got prompts in there, we got tips in there, and I have not okay, I can literally say you're the first show that I told anybody about that. That book
I
is
feel I
finished.
feel I feel special now because I'm a first one.
Yes, I finished that book last year, October or November, and I haven't put it out yet just because I've been too busy. I've got another book coming out called Girl, Go Get That Interview. And that's where you'll get a lot of the stories I shared and stuff like that. So, Girl, Go Get That Interview. It was written last year, and I never put that one out yet. I'm going to put
Mhm.
that one out probably in March or April.
I need that one like yesterday.
That was actually going to have a series behind it of webinars and courses and VIP days, because that's what I master. I love interviewing. I do great on interviewing,
Mhm.
and I know how to get those interviews. Even though I haven't did one in a long time, I've got 2 or 3 I can announce now that I'll be bringing on LinkedIn, audio, social audio, whatever you call it. Is it social audio or audio events? But
Mhm.
yeah, this is going to be one of my big years for getting back into interviews because I miss it and I haven't
Mhm.
done it in a long, long time. So I'm ready to get back out there and start doing my shows again. I haven't really even did a lot of new shows. Last year I stopped working
Mhm.
completely. You want to know why?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not good at doing, can you, okay, wait a minute, hold on one second. I'm trying to type this in. Oh, I was doing it in private chat. Okay. So let me just, oh, shoot. Okay. I don't even know how to do this. I'm trying to write a comment, but I don't know where to
You
write it
know,
at.
if you want, what we could do is we could put it in afterwards.
Yeah, let's do that.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
So I can
We
stay
could put it in
focused.
afterwards.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Remind me.
know that you
So,
had these books out. Otherwise, I would have told you, girl, put that on the comments right now.
well, last year I took
Uh-huh.
hiatus. It's the first time in the 17 years that I have been broadcasting,
Mhm.
and probably the 50 or 60 years that I've been working, that I actually stopped everything except for mentoring the people, the host that I already had because they had already invested. But I closed the doors to my company. Nobody could enroll in my profitable podcaster agency. No one could be a host on my Power Me Up radio station, Raven International TV network, or Amazing Women and Men of Power podcast network. I had just shut down. I went through something emotional. It was just, it was a pile up of things that was going on in the
Mhm,
world, from shootings at the schools, from the
mhm,
political stuff. It
mhm,
was just, coming from the pandemic, it was
mhm,
just a lot, the racial stuff. And I'm
mhm,
one of those people that I can watch TV and something be on TV and I'll start crying. My husband will come in
mm,
and cut off the news. I've always
mhm,
been like that, even
mhm,
as a kid. I
mhm,
internalize stuff a lot. And sometimes more in people that I don't even know.
mhm. Yeah.
And so all that was hit me so hard. And then being in the house a lot, because my husband, his studio is right upstairs, but he's working in his music. I'm down here in my studio. And I started feeling like Casper again. I started feeling dismissed,
Mhm,
overlooked.
mhm,
Nobody's knocking at anybody's door. Well, I won't say anybody, but there's less people knocking at your door when you get to be my age. And I'm
mhm,
72. So all the people that used to ask me to come on their podcast or do
mhm,
this, and I lost contact with a lot of people because of the pandemic. I used to
mhm,
be an influencer with New Media Summit. I used to speak on this stage and that stage. So
mhm,
since the pandemic, it's kind of felt like, okay, how do I get back out there? Right.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so I just wasn't feeling it. I was
mhm,
like, well, you know, do I hang up, take off my hat, put the microphone down? Is it time for me to stop? And so I took off time to search for me.
mhm,
What is Raven looking for now at this age? Do
mhm,
you still have the same passion for, interviewing and doing your shows? Do you even want to keep mentoring people? Do you even want to have these three networks,
mhm,
podcast, radio, TV network? It's a lot of work dealing
mhm,
with a lot of different personalities. And I just completely shut down. I stopped right after my birthday in
mhm,
April
mhm,
and just took a back seat. Did a lot of crying, a lot of soul searching. And then
mhm,
my husband found this platform called Go Brunch.
mhm,
And he introduced it to me. Shout out to Richard. Hey
mhm,
Richard.
mhm,
And this is where you can build a community with no screens in between, and
mhm,
people can be sitting on the same couches in the same room,
mhm,
the um, the board rooms, conference rooms, sitting at the same table virtually with no
mhm.
screens in between. So all of a sudden, I said, okay, I'm going to create a community called Pod Unity Connect. And
I
it's going to
love
be
it.
for podcasters and broadcasters just like me who
Mhm,
feel lonely, who feel like their family, like me and my husband's family, live in different states. We hardly ever see them. And so
mhm,
they can build something where them and their family can meet up, or other podcasters can meet up. So we built Pod Unity Connect, and now we have a virtual building with between 50 to 70, somewhere in there, different rooms that we've built. And it's been amazing. In fact, we even took it a step
mhm.
further. We pick up our clients and our guests in virtual sports cars and limos
Wow,
and
that is
airplanes.
nice.
And so we built this whole community. We even have a garage with different cars that our hosts can go pick up their guests. We have listener rooms. We have all kind of things. And we
We
built it. And that
we
made me
got
happy.
we got to do a whole nother room on this.
You know what? When I do your interview, I'm going to interview you from there, and we're going to pick you up in our virtual private plane.
Okay, I want to take the plane.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm ready to blast off, my friend.
Oh,
Well,
yeah. So we have
it
theaters and
looks like
everything.
we're close to the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But go ahead, you were going to say
No,
something.
no, no. I was just saying. So that's what brought my happy back,
Mhm.
and that's because before I was really feeling kind of down and out and not knowing what my next step is. But ever since we've created that, I tell people I'm back and wilder than ever. So this year, my word is soar, SOAR. and Raven's ready to soar in 2024. And we have a LinkedIn 4 week series coming up called Soar in 2024.
I love it.
Angelica, we've got so many people that have already said yes. We're putting it together. The last week of January will be the first one, and it'll
Okay.
go into throughout February. And I hope everybody will be able to attend.
I would love to. I'm looking forward to that. You need to put all of this in the comments because we need to get.
I'm gonna put all that in.
Yes, because people
So
see
sweet.
it on the comments, they could just, you just put the link right there. They'll
Yeah.
just press the button and boom, we're right
Well,
there.
we're gonna do your interview in Pod Unity, pick you up in a plane, and they'll get a chance to see it because it'll be on video. And you know what?
I'm gonna take my suitcase. Go ahead.
We'll have them join us afterwards, and
Okay,
you'll get a chance. Then we'll have like a little virtual party. How about that?
that sounds great. Yay! So where
Yeah,
we ended on,
I got my roadcaster claps. Here we go.
I love it. I gotta get with it with the sounds. Okay, well, we're closing on time. I'm so glad that I got a chance to talk to you. Really,
I am
it was
so glad
wonderful.
to.
So
Oh, this has been great.
mhm. This is just the beginning, my friend. There's
I
much more to
know,
come.
Angelica. I know this is. I can't. I mean, I'm going to interview you for the podcast, for LinkedIn audio series, for the panel. Oh, we got a thing going on right now.
Yeah,
Right
we
now, we
do.
got
Yeah,
things
we
going
do.
on right now. Who knows?
That's
We might
it.
even come up with a show together that we could do.
That sounds great. I'm open. I'm open.
We'll air it on my radio station. Yeah,
Let's do it. Let's do
let's
it.
do it, girl.
So, Raven, the talk show Maven, make sure
Hmm.
that you look her up. She's got so many things going on and she's got it going on. And I'm gonna take the plane with her because I
I
don't want to be left
know.
out. I love you, girl.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Love
much.
you back. And thanks everybody for tuning in. And thank you again, Angelica. I really
Yes.
appreciate it. All
Thank
right.
you. Thanks,
Bye bye.
everyone. Appreciate you. Bye bye.